What's going on?
I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm seeing. Take me for granted and you know I'm leaving. I'ma take what's mine with the webs I'm weaving. I could take this crowd from seeing to believing. Got a taste for blood and my tongue keeps bleeding. From the words I spit, so sharp, so freezing. So cold, behold, frostbite they feeling. I could tear you apart or I could go heal them. Don't believe in fate, don't believe in ceilings. I just need a taste and my mind starts feeling. I don't pace myself, I grind on kneeling. Got lust for change, I just love the feeling. I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. And I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. Cause I'ma live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I don't lie at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll still be winning. I live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I don't lie at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll still be winning. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to Dead Air, live on the Dead Air Full Spectrum channel on our Sunday night show, Father's Day edition. And hope those of you listening that are pops, dads, stepdads, granddads, that you guys are doing well and you have been treated fairly today. You know, Mother's Day is like number 2 or number 3 on the most favorite holidays of the year. And Father's Day is like number 16.
Yeah.
I can't even think of 16 holidays top of my head.
Yeah. But we take advantage of it. We do the best we can. Hey, we're doing a show on Father's Day, so I mean,
taking advantage of it like we should. Absolutely. Thank you guys for joining us. Like, subscribe, and ring that bell because we appreciate you guys being in with us each and every week. And we are going to get right down to it tonight. And joining us for this evening's show is one of our favorite people. It has become somewhat of a staple in a very short span of time. I think this is her third visit with us, Ken.
I believe so. Love having her. Everybody loved having her. Couldn't wait to have her back. And I think because we're doing kind of a fun show tonight, this is kind of right up her alley. So,
yeah. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back our very dear friend, Carrie Hopper.
You guys.
You're going,
oh my God, this is so crazy. Because just to be asked to be on this show the first time, I freaked out on Aaron. I was like, oh my God, are you serious? And so your intro just now was so lovely. Thank you so much for having me again. I love the show. And
you like family. You are absolutely like family. And you know, it's one of those things that when Ken and I are very comfortable talking with somebody, it's very apparent very quickly. This is something that we enjoy, as Ken and I have talked about. You know, this is not one of those super shows with 90 million subscribers on it. It's kind of just like a locals hangout, and we enjoy that part of it more than anything else.
Yeah, it very much felt like I have known you guys forever, even with the very first time I was on the show. And a lot of that did come from how highly Erin speaks of both of you in the show and how much she loves it and being a part of it. And but then getting to sit down with both of you myself, it just really felt, comfortable from the minute. So I'm very
Word of
happy.
mouth, very important.
Well,
Like George says, we like somebody, we don't leave them alone after that. So,
Well, I'm glad for it. I'm grateful. Thank you so much, guys. I had such a great time. And look at your viewers. They're so lovely and they're so engaged in every single episode that you guys do. It's such a fun chat all the time. I really do. The community you guys have is really top notch. I really like it. So thank
one
you.
of the best things about doing this show, and we've said it countless times, the engagements that we have with people who invite us into their homes every Sunday night. We feel blessed. We don't take that for granted, and we try to be as entertaining as we possibly can. So tonight, hopefully, is no exception.
You never fail, so I think it's gonna be real good.
Bill, where's Bill? Bill, where are you at? Are you at your studio desk? I think what Bill tends to do is as soon as he starts the show, he goes off and makes a sandwich.
He goes,
He gets abducted. There he is. Hey, Bill.
What's happening?
Tell all of our Patreon subscribers what's going on tomorrow night in Town Hall.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. 8 p.m. Eastern.
Bill Forte, our producer, is joining us. Yes, and our Patreon Town Hall tomorrow night for the first time. So you guys get a chance to pick Bill's brain, talk about ufology, talk about his experiences investigating with Ken and Rise Up, and just basically shoot the breeze.
I think I may have some clips prepared of Bill investigating, but I wanted to show Bill my new toy behind me. Can you see that?
Ooh, you got a
I saw you post that.
Well, wait a minute. Whoa. Look at this.
Oh, nice.
Right?
That looks so cool.
Do you have the dark sky environment, obviously, where you live to enjoy that? No light pollution?
Where I am?
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Awesome. Perfect.
It's phenomenal. Where I need to look is pretty quiet. It is in the flight path of TF Green International Airport. So, there's some interesting things buzzing by, but we get a great look at the Northern Hemisphere.
Cool.
That's so cool.
That is.
I'll just say, but I'll try to cause a controversy. I know from behind the scenes that the UAP thing is real. I know the public is frustrated and for the lack of evidence because there's obvious reasons why that cannot be released to the public because it's classified. But based on the individuals that I've spoken to, like I said, behind the scenes, I know that we've got something. I'll just give a hint. The Ryan Graves incident is connected to something that people I got to be careful, people in our government or an individual in government has seen.
I don't want them hearing this because you never know what.
There we go again.
Oh my gosh.
Men in Black, they cut them down and then they take them out.
And there we go. We've exposed.
That made me nervous. Well, I look forward to tomorrow night. Carrie, always a pleasure to see you on with the guys. And happy Father's Day to all those out there. And enjoy the rest of the show, everyone. I know I'll be sitting here enjoying it too. Like he said, like Joe said, I get my popcorn and munchies and I just sit here and I watch it like everybody else. So anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you, Bill. Hey, Bill, work on that tan for me, will you?
Bye.
Bye. All right. Before we continue on with our topics tonight, and what it basically boils down to is somebody close and very personal that we wanted to make sure that we pay our respects to. And well, Ken, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are aware already because it's been publicly announced. But in the event you're not, we mourn the passing of Carolyn Perrin, Andrea's mom, who has gone on to her next journey. and a life well spent. Of course, she came into prominence with the Conjuring film, House of Darkness, House of Light trilogy, and we feel as though through Andrea, through her daughter, we got to know Carolyn, and this was someone who was so immersed in the arts. She was a model at one point, so to think that her life began and ended with the events at the farmhouse. Of course, again, this is where she came into prominence, but there was much more to Carolyn than, just merely that story. And she will be missed. The world is a little less full with her passing, but she was as kind a person as you want to meet. And I got the privilege of just speaking with her one time, and she was extremely supportive of that. So she knew me, and I'm sure that Andrea had spoken of us, and so we join with everybody here on Full Spectrum and KGRA with sending our sincerest condolences to the Perrin family for this loss. But she will always be remembered fondly, and a lot of love was given and taken from her while she was here, and that will always be first and foremost her legacy.
Yes.
Carrie?
I think, and Laura and I had actually posted a tribute to her on the podcast page. She's the matriarch of arguably one of the paranormal world's most famous families. But that, like you said, she was so much more than that. You know what I mean? I mean, they lived there for what, 10 years? She was eight. I think Erin said she was 88 when she passed. A whole amazing life of being a wife and a mother and losing one of her children and just being so, yes, she is mostly known for the events of The Conjuring, and to that audience, she is definitely a woman who exemplified and personified a mother's love and a mother's determination to do whatever she could to protect her family. But she was a mother at the end of the day, and so I know that Andrea and her sisters and her, Carolyn's grandchildren, and they're all so heartbroken because I've recently gotten to witness firsthand what it's like for somebody to lose their mother, and it's so significant. And all of that, the books and the movie and the house and the fame and the curiosity is nothing compared to the fact that at the end of the day, this is a family that lost their mother. And it doesn't matter what age you are when your mother dies, that is such a significant loss. And so Andrea is a personal friend of mine. And so that night that she passed, Erin had let me know, and I immediately texted her and sent my condolences. And it's just, we have to just kind of set aside that they're a famous family and just kind of let them, like Andrea asked for, let them have their privacy, let them have their peace to grieve. Because they're just like any other family who loses somebody so important to so many of them. And, I send my condolences to Roger. They weren't together anymore, and they'd been divorced for a very long time, but they built this family together. She was very, very important to him. So it's a sad Father's Day for Roger. I wish him a very happy Father's Day, but I know that he's probably kind of reflecting on the woman who made him a father. So it's just, I just hope that everybody is kind to them and, not going to the house trying to look for her. I cannot stand when a celebrity dies and people are immediately trying to contact them. So anybody that might be listening or watching, if you could just, if that's something that you're thinking about doing, please don't do that because it's gross and disgusting. Let them rest. Let her rest. She certainly.
I had the privilege of knowing the entire Perrin family very well after first meeting Annie here in Central Florida, and then we began doing the show together and traveling together, and several times visiting with her sisters and her mom in Georgia. And here is a woman of very little stature, very tiny individual. But when she walked into a room, she filled that room. Just an amazing person, articulate, intelligent, knowledgeable, loved reading. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. And I was enamored with this energy. Just an incredible person, kind and sincere, and just what I loved about it, and I know it had to do with her health reasons, but we used to joke all the time, whether it was on the phone or in person, how much she sounded like Katharine Hepburn.
Oh, really?
Oh, very much so. And just, to me, for everything thrown at this family, for everything even thrown at her individually, she was a gentle giant who really, I think, touched a lot of lives. The people who got a chance to meet her, to know her, set aside whatever recordings were put out there, video or otherwise, on social media, that the individual was just such a powerful energy. And Annie sent me about an hour after her passing. Annie sent me a text, and I said, she's on the right side of God right now. She's sitting right next to him, probably giving him some very good advice. And God bless her, and of course her daughter, Annie's sister, April. So it's a sad loss in the field, but just as you said, Carrie, give the family the space, the time to heal, to make the proper arrangements, and just remember her, because she was an amazing, amazing individual, and I'm so privileged to have the chance to have met her, as Ken said, also. So,
yeah.
All right. Now we've got a lot to talk about tonight, Ken, don't we?
Yes, we do. Hang on. They've been spotted.
Oh goodness.
They're in Florida.
Oh goodness.
Okay.
I didn't get the call.
Florida.
I didn't get the call.
They're doing Cody and Carmen San Diego. We don't know where they are at this point. I had heard rumors, we talked about it, that they are actually filming the sequel to Deliverance down there in
Cool.
Squeal like a pig.
In the deep south. So, hello, hang with us, guys. We'll get you through this. But what we wanted to start on as a theme, because why not tonight? Because it's Father's Day and we're immersed in the paranormal, I thought it might be fun to talk a little bit about the fathers of certain fields, certain areas of the paranormal. Some of them some of them you may not be aware of. But these were the gentlemen who were considered pioneers in various areas of this. And George, because my printer is not working, I have a little bio that I would like to read while you kindly put them up there for everyone to see. And we'll start off first with the father of ghost hunting. You with me? Hey, no, that's not it. Start from the top.
Well,
Harry Price.
Yeah, the only problem with it is that all of them, they get cut off. So it says father. Okay, there we go.
Okay, Harry Price was a British psychic researcher and author who gained public prominence for his investigations into cyclical phenomena and exposing fraudulent spiritualist mediums. He is best known for his well-publicized investigation of the purportedly haunted Borley Rectory in Essex, England. Harry Price, the father of ghost hunters. Next on our list is Friedrich Jurgensen. Now, he was a Russian-born Swedish painter and film producer who first discovered the paranormal voice phenomenon that has since come to be known as raw voices or electronic voice phenomena. In July of 1959, Jurgensen recorded the song of a Swedish finch on his tape recorder, and on playback, heard what appeared to be a human voice. Next up will be the father of ufology. And this is J. Allen Hynek. Joseph Allen Hynek was an American astronomer, professor, and ufologist. He's perhaps best remembered for his UFO research. Hynek acted as scientific advisor to UFO studies undertaken by the U.S. Air Force under 3 projects: Project Sign, Project Grudge, and Project Blue Book. Next up is the father of parapsychology, none other than Joseph Banks Rhine, usually known as J.B. Rhine. He was an American botanist, of all things, who founded parapsychology as a branch of psychology, founding the Parapsychology Lab at Duke University, the Journal of Parapsychology, the Foundation for Research on the Nature of Man, and the Parapsychological Association. Next up is the father of all parapsychologists. And of course, this is Hans Holzer, an Austrian-American author who wrote more than 120 books on supernatural and occult subjects for the popular market, as well as several plays, musical films, and documentaries. He also hosted a television show called Ghost Hunter. Next up, the father of demonology. Nope. Nope.
Well, just say the name because the rest of it's cut off.
Okay. That would be this gentleman right here.
There we go.
And his name is Ed Warren. He was a self-taught and self-professed demonologist, author, and lecturer. In 1952, he and wife Lorraine founded the New England Society for Psychic Research, or NESPR, the oldest ghost hunting group in New England. They authored many books about the paranormal and about their private investigations into various reports of paranormal activity. They claim to have investigated well over 10,000 cases during their career. Next up will be the father of cryptozoology, and that is none other than Bernard Wavelman. Now, he was a Belgian-French scientist, explorer, researcher, and writer, probably best known, along with Scottish-American biologist Ivan T. Sanderson, as a founding figure in the pseudoscience and subculture of cryptozoology. Now we can go to our next, and if you're going to have a father, why not have an actual father? Father Gabriel Amorth was an Italian Catholic priest of the Paulines and an exorcist for the Diocese of Rome. This guy was the real deal. Amorth, along with 5 other priests, founded the International Association of Exorcists. His work in demonology and exorcism gained him international recognition. Now, here's a couple of folks that you may not have heard of. Martin Kunert on the left and Eric Maines on the right. These are the fathers of paranormal reality television, starting with MTV's Sphere, which originally aired from 2000 to 2002 on MTV and spawned the entire genre. Program followed a group of 5 or more contestants who were left at an allegedly haunted location and led on a series of dares over 2 nights to explore the location and determine whether it was haunted. The show was created by Martin Kunert and Eric Maines, who were inspired by the 1973 horror film The Legend of Hell House. And then we come to the father of reality-based procedural TV, Jason Conrad Hawes. Started as a plumber who co-founded the Atlantic Paranormal Society, which is based in Warwick, Rhode Island. He's also one of the stars and co-producers of TV's Ghost Hunters, which ran from 2004 until 2016, and then returned briefly from 2019 to 2020 and revived in 2021 until 2023. And an honorable mention here for the godfather of the paranormal, John Zaffis, a paranormal researcher born and raised in Connecticut. He starred in the sci-fi paranormal reality TV show Haunted Collector and runs the Paranormal and Demonology Research Society of New England, which he founded in 1998. So there are the various fathers of different facets of the paranormal, selected by an elite panel of one, myself. So you can certainly take umbrage with any of them, but go ahead, fight me on it.
I salute all of them, and Godfather still has the word father in it, so it still counts.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Plus, John's a good friend of the show, so we'll make sure. What I wanted to contribute to this, and the reason why I had asked Carrie to join, is more so to kind of be the cooler, the intermediary, the cleaning lady for hitmen, if you will, in case this gets a little bit debatable between Ken and I. But what I wanted to target, and before I actually go down this road, Ken, did you want to topically address anything from those particular bios and those particular individuals?
No, I think for the most part, they speak for themselves. Maybe we'll do the same thing on Mother's Day next year. But these are all people who set forth before, with some exceptions, before this was part of pop culture. And they were certainly dealing from a point of origin on all of this, where, we haven't evolved or devolved, depending on your point of view, to the point we are now, prior to a lot of the technology that we have, where they kind of laid the foundation and the groundwork for a lot of these things. And some of them have since left, have passed, but their legacy continues on, because a lot of them are very much still referenced in contemporary times, which gives you an idea of their contribution and the level of their contribution to this field. I think Father Amorth passed recently. If you have an opportunity to do so, read about his life, as they call him the Pope's exorcist. And there was recently a movie done on it with
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe, thank you. Which kind of got lukewarm reception on that. But the real story of Father Amorth is mind-blowing. And, to be honest with you, don't read it with the lights off. Seriously.
If you want a condensed version with a little bit of sarcasm and all of that, go listen to History of Hauntings episode on it. Our dear friend Aaron Bush actually co-hosted that episode with me. Laura was out of town, so Aaron stepped in, and she did an amazing job. But we cover Father Amorth, and she hated every minute of it, but God love her, she stuck with it, and it's one of her most popular episodes. So definitely check that out. Aaron, I don't remember what number episode that was. You might, because you are the Paranormal Girl Friday for all of us. Erin also does a lot of admin work for our podcast as well.
One of the things I admired is that he was not, I mean, this was someone who still recited the rites of exorcism in Latin.
Yeah.
Okay. But he was not afraid to stray off the path. He was a little bit radical sometimes.
He really was. Yeah. And I think that might have been I didn't see that movie. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I think that might have been a little bit of what they leaned into about him and just sort of made it, Hollywood. And
of course. Yeah.
But he was so no pun intended, but religious in his daily activities. Like he would get up and he would have his breakfast and then he would go pray and then he would go down and he would meet whatever individual. He would read his mail for people that were requesting exorcisms, like every single day for the whole of his life. That man never deviated off of his schedule. Was exactly the same the day he died as it was 50 years prior. So, very regimented in how he conducted his life and his exorcisms. So
right, exactly. I will tell you what's going on.
Yeah, he was adversarial with the church.
Very much so.
But it gave him this, I guess, the sense of power that they respected, because he was the one that was going to take on any task that was out there with regards to any type of demonic possession, which they needed. And I'm sure at the same time, from a political perspective, he was the perfect scapegoat for them if anything were to go wrong. So it's incredible.
Yeah. Well,
all
he
right.
was the boot ground guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I was wanting to do here in this section, guys, and you please strike up a conversation, your opinions in the chat also. But basically, a state of the paranormal address for a man such as Ken DaCosta with 50 years in this field, nearly 50 years, 20 years for myself. Carrie, your interests in this field are long-standing, but you've really gotten into more so the field with investigating and doing your show for the last 5 years. But everybody can definitely give their perspective, but Carrie's there to kind of play referee in case Ken and I take opposite sides to any of these topics. But
okay, you got it.
Where we were when we're talking about such as the founding fathers that Ken brought up to where we are today, what is the state of the paranormal? Where have we progressed? Where have we steered wrong? And is there a possibility of getting back on track? And again, Carrie, your opinion to this is just as important. But as I go down these clicks, and these are actually these little stills from our intro. So as we bring these up, I certainly want to go around and see what everyone's opinion is. We'll start with some of the outer fringe, and that's the cryptozoology. And Ken, maybe you could start it off from where we were when this particular film was made to where we are today in regards to cryptozoology.
I think in those terms, where we land right now is an uncertainty about it. And this is going to be a recurring theme, I think, through all the different facets of it. The idea that you have to separate the wheat from the chaff, right? I mean, you really do, because we live in an age where things can be hoaxed and faked and put out there as real. They're not, for financial gain, for social status, whatever anybody's desire is. I can make cases for the existence or the possible existence of certain creatures, if you will, and I can't for others. And that's a much longer that's a 2-hour show. Why I think the possibility of a bipedal hairy ape may be possible but something like the Loch Ness Monster can't be possible. And it has a lot to do with the normal things of animal behavior, food sources, environment, climate. So many of those things play into it. I think what has happened now, and I've said this before at conferences, I think the biggest thing that we owe Bigfoot right now is the idea that the very existence of these creatures, because there's got to be about 5,000 of them to survive this amount of time. And there's sightings all over the United States. Every region has their own particular, whether it's Momo, the Ohio Grassman, the Florida Swamp Ape, the Legend of Boggy Creek.
Yep.
The thing that I think he's done for us is he's got people off the couches and into the wilderness, communing with nature, going in, whether it pays dividends or not, and just getting out and seeing what nature and this planet has to offer itself, has to offer us. I don't think we've pushed it very much forward because I don't think we're using technology the right way. Occasionally you see it, whether it's FLIR, whether it's drones, or anything of that nature. Every once in a while, someone does that. I find it hard to believe that no matter where we go and we can send things into areas that we can't access just because of logistics, just because of geology, that we can't come up with something beyond, well, that's a deer, or that's a raccoon, or that's a bear.
That's a serial killer.
Yeah, right. And there's an interesting correlation with serial killers and Bigfoot. Again, that's another show. That's one of my the hiding in plain sight.
Right. Yeah.
Into your environment so as to not arouse suspicion. Okay, but I don't want to get too far off the question. In terms of cryptozoology, I don't think that we're using technology the way it should be. How many times do we have to go into Loch Ness with sonar to finally realize, let's put our resources into something that's a little bit more, because a lot of these creatures have not been seen. They're in Native American lore. Mm-hmm. So I think that there was something out there possibly misidentified. But like so many facets of this, we worry about and concern ourselves with something that's likely nothing, rather than focusing on the smaller amount that we don't have answers for. But I would just like to see, more technology be used. Unfortunately, cryptids are worse than ghosts and UFOs in as much as this is all amateur exploration.
Yeah.
Science, the government, and I know we love to blame the government and UFOs and Bigfoot as a spiritual creature, and he's a being that is interdimensional. When we start going that way, then just say you don't know. Don't start, multi-dimensional, and he's like,
there's nothing wrong with saying you don't know. You don't always have to have an answer.
Exactly, Carrie. It's all theoretical physics at that point, which speaks for itself. So,
Carrie,
I stand down.
Carrie Hopper, your thoughts?
I tend to agree with Ken. We have covered a fair amount of cryptids on History of a Haunting, and Bigfoot was actually the last episode that we did before we went on hiatus. We've covered Nessie, and I really enjoyed doing that part of the show simply because we do have that knowledge that we're given through TV specials or whatever, that are bent toward, Loch Ness Monster is real, or it's not, so I really enjoyed doing those kinds of shows on History of a Haunting because we can really find out the core of what is going on with research or with whatever people are trying to do to prove that these things are real. I would love to say that they're all real. I think that would be really cool. Joseph, yes, big fan of Mothman. Love him. Point Pleasant, charming town. Would always go back. But I think Ken's kind of right. I think that there needs to be just sort of a little bit more how do I want to word it? Seriousness, I guess, taken with.
I think, Carrie, maybe what you're saying is we've romanticized a
Yes.
lot of this stuff.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, but
that's exactly the word.
right. Where's
Yeah.
the pursuit? I mean, romanticizing something totally fine to believe. I mean, whether it's a god or I'm not comparing God to Bigfoot, like
I think God would be amused by
let me state that clearly. Yeah, I mean, you can believe what you want to believe, but there are fewer instances of being able to make a case for the possibility,
Yeah.
than we may think they are. I mean, other than that, if it gets you out on a boat on a lovely day, go look for Loch Ness, go look for Champ, go look for the Beast of Bray Road, or
I love it. I think except for the Jersey Devil. I don't want to come across that thing. But puck wedgies, those things sound super cute. I'm here for it. Cryptozoology, why not? Why not? They say that there's what was it, like 70% of the ocean we haven't discovered, and they're always coming up finding new things in the ocean.
Every
that
day.
could certainly be the same thing on land, in even in the North America or Asia, Russia. It doesn't, certainly these things could be around. Maybe they're just really good at, keeping it to their own little like areas that just don't go explore too much. I don't know. I'm here for it. If people could, like you said, Ken, really take it a little bit more seriously and be okay with saying, you know what, we just don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know if it is here. We don't know if it's not. We don't know. And that has to be okay with the people they're talking to as well.
Yeah. Give me facts and not a convenient excuse.
Yeah. So that's where I stand.
Yeah.
I wish they were all real.
I find what is fascinating between then and now is then, before the invention of video phones, camera phones, before people were dealing more with the technology side of it, there was a lot of physical evidence that was produced out there, particularly with Bigfoot and the castings, the footprints. You don't get much of that going on anymore. People were having sightings, reported sightings of chupacabra, and you don't see that. You'll see a ton of videos, but again, it's as we've talked about, too much of it could be easily shopped and manipulated and turned into something else. It's almost as if it's become dismissive to it. Now, is there a possibility that in some of these cases there is something that has to deal with multi-dimension, such as Mothman? Yes, of course. We still have no idea what it is that we're experiencing, and we're trying to nail that down. If they can jump from one dimension to another, that's going to be really hard. But some of these others, these physical manifestations that are out there, all this new technology, I mean, so far advanced in the last 20 years, it's incredible how much, and yet they still haven't been able to nail any of this down. Now, this is, where I counter with Ken, I think, is regards to the government, that I think anything that was absolutely legitimate, and they could be running around pulling their hair out of their heads with what they're just seeing on social media. That would drive anybody crazy trying to nail down what exactly is being captured or experienced out there. So things that are reported, I think, more so to local authorities is something that they would tag, something that they would look at and say, okay, something's going on. Let's go check this out. Whatever the phenomena may be, I don't think they have the resources for every video that's out there in the world with regards to these particular creatures. But I just see right now there's a division from what was to what is in that physical part of it, the physical experiences. Even going back, we were talking before the show about Betty and Barney Hill, to the claims of Travis Walton. I mean, these are firsthand. Now it's all videos of these UFOs, and I wonder whether or not that detachment through the lens is because people are craving that type of an experience, besides the attention, besides the likes and views and everything else regarding to it, but they are missing the bigger picture of discovery, things that archaeologists and adventurists going to the wilds of the Amazon were looking for, new species.
Yeah.
And that's all gone to the wayside. It's a lot easier to get on Photoshop than it is to get on a plane and go out there and experience this.
Yeah.
But
let me ask you a question real quick, George, not to interrupt your thought,
please.
but they discovered a new frog in the Amazon. Is that any less vital or important than Bigfoot? Or is Bigfoot just a bigger star? Because he's got a TV show, the frog doesn't.
It's Carrie,
no.
go ahead.
No, what do you think?
Well, I think it's I think it's the myth behind it. You don't hear myths about frogs.
Yeah.
Unless, again, the situation was that these frogs are 10 feet tall and swallow human beings. But
God, I would be terrified.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I always thought foot-long fire ants would be the most horrible thing on the planet. But
oh yeah, for sure.
That being said, it's one of those things where, again, it's the lore behind it. It's the reason why Frankenstein's monster is so horrific. It's just something there that is visceral in the fear of human beings.
Yeah.
And again, it's what was it that was going around last week? If anybody was on social media, was seeing about the flying spider, which
oh yeah, those big,
was all fake.
Like
it was
an 8-inch leg. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just, I mean, the insect exists, but it's not a deadly thing down on the East Coast. Yeah. But it's just, again, but it drew the attention right away. The fear draws the attention.
Yeah.
And so when you're finding, whether it is Mothman, whether it is the Jersey Devil, these are frightening encounters that people do want to answer. But I think right now it is just being muddled so much in disinformation out there, something that people in the UFO community have been doing for decades, long before any type of, internet workshop, let's manifest this kind of thing, but just testimonials. There's been disinformation out there to shoot down the experiences to begin with.
Yeah.
Now we're doing it to ourselves. We don't even need their assistance anymore. We are providing our own disinformation out there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, and that's something that has been, even with the Loch Ness monster, there were like way early on, they were like, oh, here's this photograph, and this is the most famous photograph, I think. And then, like, I don't know, a decade later, there was another guy that got a photograph of it, and it ended up, that guy was like, okay, yeah, I went out there with, my raincoat or whatever, and I threw it on a log, or, so even back then, people were chasing that. I've said it before, and that they're trying to find that holy grail piece of evidence that's going to prove to the world that ghosts are real, or demons are real, or whatever. The Loch Ness monster is real, so that they can be the one. Like you guys have said, like they for the clout, for the stardom, for the fame, for the this guy has a picture of the Loch Ness monster. even if he's got to fabricate it. And so then from that point on, it just sort of, I guess, ruined anybody else's credibility that may come along in the future that is actually going about it the right way.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's just making everybody after them have to work harder to be credible when they really are trying to be credible, because there's so many people that are just trying to gather that,
Look at this.
Hey, what
Look
is
at
happening?
this.
Currently having a watch party together in St. Augustine, competing to see who control the chat and get banned first.
Oh, that's so nice.
My
Okay.
buddy's on Erin. She's such a
Okay, the gauntlet is thrown down. By the way, you're talking about the Loveland frog, which is basically a 6 foot tall frog in Ohio. That, yeah, isn't real.
I don't like the little tiny tree frogs that are on my patio. I don't like things that jump. So crickets, grasshoppers, frogs, because I don't know which way they're gonna jump. They could jump on me. It's a stupid phobia. It's a weird phobia. But things that hop, ironically, with being my last name, because everybody's like, "Hey, Hopper's hopping." No, I don't like that. Bunnies, actually, I like bunnies, but little tiny things that hop, bugs, insects, frogs.
You can't just pick the cute animals, Carrie.
I can't I?
You
I'm
can't
sure.
just pick the cute animals.
Are you sure? Bunnies.
Yeah, so from the aspect of cryptozoology, and Ken, I tend to agree with you. Almost every single one of these categories will pretty much have a lot of the same explanation behind it. But I do want to continue on the other side.
5 minutes, Bill? Holy Jesus.
I know. I was
quick, yeah.
and I'm like, wow, that was a quick
All
hour.
right. It's all right. We'll hit it hard, second hour.
I want to see if I've got the right branding here. Yes, I do. So I wanted to let you guys know about this again. Most of you that are in chat are aware of this fact, but if it's your first time again watching Dead Air and you want to make this a staple, certainly again hit that subscribe button, the thumbs up, and the reminder bell. Next Sunday, we will be talking about this particular case. You can watch it on Hulu. It is only a 3-part miniseries. And it is about a young girl back in the 70s who had, whether you call it PK, psychokinesis, telekinesis, or poltergeist activity surrounding her. But as the story would go, and I don't want to spoil too much other than the fact that she had a child once she was grown up. The child who was showing the same signs wound up dying. That child was very, very young. And even though the mother had an alibi, she was charged with the murder of her child. She is still in prison 40 years later. And through the kindness of Jeannie Dollar, who is going to be joining us next Sunday, she is going to be on with us, as well as a specialist in PKTK, Dr. Brian Williams from University of Arizona, and calling in to the show will be Christina Boyer herself from prison.
Oh my, why do I not know about this story? Laura, if you're watching, put that on the episode list. We got to cover this.
Yeah, it's an amazing case. It involved one of the people that Ken put up there at the very, very beginning, which is J.B. Ryan. His institute got involved in this case.
Yeah.
The Amazing Randy, for those of you old enough to remember the Amazing Randy, tried to get involved in this case. And that unto itself was just ridiculous. So, we're looking forward to hearing about the case. We're looking forward to hearing about the paranormal events that went on in her young teenage years, and the fact that they are continuing now that she is in prison. So you guys make sure, again, you mark it down. I'm sorry?
Is she in prison like life without parole, or is there a chance she could get out life without parole?
She's gone up for parole and been denied several times. I don't know if she's exhausted all of them. I know that there is something similar to the Innocence Project that they are still trying. When you watch that mini series, and I think once you hear the story when they come on next week, you'll understand more so, because to me it's as black and white as can be. But as Ken brought to us the Fall River murders a few weeks back, there are sometimes extenuating circumstances where the police don't. They want to go ahead and make sure there's an arrest. They want to close the case, and
especially back then.
It's the wrongly accused. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Got to button it up.
Well, there are details, there are nuances to this case that we won't go into. We'll allow you to watch it yourself. But there are nuances to this case that are fascinating, that go beyond the idea of whether someone is innocent or guilty. Forget the alleged crime. There are facets of this thing that involve things like psychokinesis, and it's far ranging. So that's going to be next week. It's going to be a great day because I'm giving a talk for MUFON in the afternoon and then jumping into this at night. So God, I love my life. But yeah, we're not on a crusade here to, get innocent people out of jail when, the Fall River cult murders, which was, 3 weeks, a month ago already. But sometimes these cases, in that regard, it was allegedly a satanic cult. They do have some tie to what we're talking about and what we like to talk about here.
Yeah.
But sometimes they have greater implications.
Yeah, exactly.
Than whether or not there's a ghost there, or
we got to go to break, and when we come back, we'll continue our State of the Paranormal address. And Cody Satori, since you're just lounging around in St. Augustine, go ahead, doing a tapping method, and let us know whether or not she's innocent. Okay. You're watching Dead or Alive,
and you too, Aaron.
And you too, Aaron. Exactly. Guys, we'll be back on the other side of the break. Stay with us. You're watching Dead Air Live.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
You're listening to the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. We provide unparalleled coverage of trending news in the world of ufology, cryptozoology, and paranormal phenomenon. Whether you're watching our video live stream or listening to one of our audio programs, you are getting the best from world-renowned researchers and hosts, guiding you through topics the mainstream won't touch. Miss one of your favorite programs? No problem. Head over to the members area at kgradb.com for access to our massive library of award-winning content. Make contact, stay connected, only at kgradb.com.
Gene, if you want to promote your location that you have the events at, you don't have to come up with, some excuse. I don't know what happened. I pressed the wrong button. We love you, Gene. Thank you, guys.
Love you, Gene. We're teasing you.
Yeah, by the way, if you guys get in early enough, to Town Hall tomorrow, our Patreon members. And Ken, if you want to put the little ticker tape on the bottom for the Patreon.
Yeah.
Besides our producer, Bill Forte, joining us tomorrow night, the producer for our Sunday night show, Dead Air Live. Also, the main guest that's going to be joining us next Sunday, Jeannie Dollar, will be on our Patreon page for a few minutes just to do an audio video check, but maybe for an opportunity for you guys to say hello to her. So she will be on tomorrow night. Look at $3 membership, guys. $3 for a membership to incredible content on our page from things that we've done in the past and things that we are currently doing, shows, tutorials, investigations. It's just it's a cornucopia of content that you guys could definitely check out.
That's a good word. You don't get a lot of cornucopia.
George breaking out the thesaurus tonight.
And you think about it too. My HBO Max just informed me that it's going up another $1 a month to $16 a month now. And we probably have more interesting content. So just so you guys can definitely check it out. There's some of our Patreon members right there. Make sure you guys stop by and join. We'd love to see you there with us. And our town hall, again, we do live every Monday. And then I know Ken and I got to hunker down for a little bit here and do some more of the reaction videos because I know you guys have been asking about it. And we've got some in the queue that we've got to get to. So
I've been
speaking of
all lately, but there's a good reason for it.
Yeah, you've been busy. But there's something you wanted to get to real quick, Ken. And Carrie Hopper again joining us tonight, talking topic. But Ken, go ahead.
Yeah. And I had mentioned in chat. Oh, the other thing too, if you're watching us on Facebook, your name will now show up. It won't say Facebook user, and we'll know exactly who you are. So take advantage of that if you're watching on Facebook. Gene at undisclosed location. Liz is learning. Look at Liz learning all the terminology.
Listen, Liz is a darling. She's a History of a Haunting listener as well. So we love Liz.
I had mentioned in chat, and George has an agenda here tonight. We're going to get to different facets that we're going to talk about, things that we've covered, in 2024 and beyond. But as I mentioned in chat briefly, if you got something you want to hit us with it. Let us know you want to know about something. And in one regard, we do have a comment from Audrey. Way too much hate happening in so-called debunking claims that have no actual backing. It's unfortunate to see. Yes, it is. And the thoughts that I'll express are my own, and I'll try to be brief here. No one on this show ever has said we don't welcome the debunking community. No one's ever said that. No one has ever said we don't welcome skeptics. I read the Skeptical Inquirer. I read people like Benjamin Radford and Kenny Biddle and Michael Shermer. And these are probably names that people in that community might not even be aware of. I'm going to sum it up like this. The internet is a technological wonder. Truly is. But it also can be medieval in some aspects, where if someone is accused of some transgression or other, and in the court of public opinion, they're convicted, it amounts to what is a public stoning takes place after that. And it has nothing to do with the idea, I don't believe this, or you are welcome for that. We have said this ad nauseum. You don't have to believe everything we show you. You don't have to believe everything that we say. Question wisdom. It's fine. We need it. There is no one here. Speaking for George here is the only time I'll do so, that calls into question things more than we do. Now, we have guests on this show, and here's some inside baseball. We don't always agree with their positions. We interview them, we ask them questions, and we let them give us their perspective. You're watching. You can decide whether or not you like that person, you don't like. And sometimes we get comments saying, well, so-and-so, boy, he seems arrogant. That's perfectly okay. We're not here as a gotcha show. We're not here to bring guests on and say, well, I heard that this happened to you, and here's the rumor. And, occasionally we will bring something up because we've determined that person needs to set the record straight. Okay. Beyond that, we're not here for that. And what I say by public stoning and how medieval it can be, it's not limited to the paranormal. It could be politically, socially, economically, whatever facet of our culture it is. The stoning comes from the community. Everybody gets called into the town square, is handed a rock. The community is the comment section, and everybody lines up and says, take your shot. Take your shot. Older people, middle-aged people, young people are handed a stone. Take your shot. Throw the stone. Cast them out. Shun them. Perfectly well and good, except when it goes past the point of civility. Okay? I'm not going to apologize for feeling that way. Good luck, because I still exercise my right to read it or see it and ignore it or scroll on or whatever you want to call it. I'm not engaging. I'm not engaging in that. I got no time for that. Whether it's this show or anybody we have on this show, fine. Like it, not like it, entirely up to you. But I equate it to a public stoning where it just gets completely out of hand. So it has nothing to do with the debunking community. Remember this, and I read this from a former director of PsyCop, which used to be what the Skeptical Inquirer was all about. Skeptics attack the claim. They don't attack the people. Because if you do, you start to lose your own credibility, because now you have the agenda that's going on. Attack the claim. When you start going after the people, then you're opening a door that true skeptics really don't want to go down. And those aren't my words. This comes from a former director. Forgive me if I can't. I think his name was O'Brien. I'm not sure. I'll put a link to the article in the comments so you can read it. And that's deviated from that. Skeptics, welcome. Debunking community, love you. Love you. We really do. So the war is in somebody else's narrative, not ours. But that's what I equate it to. It's the court of public opinion and a public stoning, metaphorically, of course.
Sure.
So that's my thought on that. And, we've moved on from a lot of this stuff. We've said and done what we think we needed to say. But don't be down on the debunking community. But you know how it is on the internet. Someone has a pseudo name or pseudonym or some kind of alphanumeric string, who they are. I'm Ken, that's George, that's Carrie. Okay, that's who we are. I'm not, KD 712 underline Big Bear underscore, Ghost Nut or something like that.
Yeah, that's on his For You page. Just
it is. Actually. I'm going to start using my porn name, Rock Drywall.
Please do that.
All right. So anyway, that's that from me.
Copyright pending on that, Ken. Carrie, go ahead. Chime in on this, sweetheart.
I have to agree with Ken. And I said that on the first time I was on the show, was that paranormal investigators, we need skeptics and debunkers on our teams. We need to have a real versatile and like well-rounded group on our paranormal investigation teams. Because quite honestly, I'll be honest, guys, I tend to get a little carried away with it. Like, oh my God, I believe in ghosts. I am here for it. I can hear them. I can see them. I believe in them. But I am not going to go out of my way to cram that down people's throats unless I'm really, really excited about it. But I have people like Laura, who she's a skeptic. She wants to believe, but she just hasn't been given anything yet to prove it to her. And she's like, okay, but Carrie, how about you look at it this way? So, I mean, and I'm open and receptive to that. So we do need the debunkers. We do need the skeptics in this industry. But I agree with Ken that the court of public opinion has gotten so out of control to the point where people seem to feel like they have a right to tell people on TV, people on whatever that are the hot topic of the day, you need to go here. You need to do this. You need to. And I know that you guys have covered this. I know that I know that they're watching. I know that your audience have had enough of it. But to be totally honest with you, the reason I don't give readings, do any of that stuff, I use my abilities in paranormal investigations, are because of what happened to Cody and Satori. That scares me. That makes people that like us, that can do what we can do, very scared for our own safety because of all of the horrible, horrible things that they have had to go through, that we have seen people say to them and do to them. That scares others like us that can do that can do that. So I don't, the court of public opinion has really gotten out of control in that way because they feel they have a right and an entitlement to order people like us to do things they want us to do that they think will prove we can do what we can do. No. There's, to me, in my mind, there's no difference in people that I don't know saying, hey, Carrie, you need to prove that you can hear spirits. You need to prove that you can channel. You need to prove that you can remote view. To, hey, women, this is what we're going to tell you to do with your own body. No. You are not going to do that. You're not going to force an individual to put themselves in a situation they don't want to be put in for whatever reason. The reason they don't want to be put in that situation doesn't freaking matter. They don't want to do it. You're not going to force them to. And a lot of fans of TV shows expect so much of the people they're watching on TV. I would not want to be the team of Destination or Project Fear for anything in the world. Their fans want so much of them, so much more. People are taking all of this way too far. And so I definitely agree with Ken that, the stoning, it's happening. And it's terrible. And I can't stand it. I will die on this hill. I told Aaron, I will die on this hill. I've gotten into confrontations with people who are like, you don't even know Cody and Satori. No, I don't. But I'm like them. I can do things like they can do. And if this is what you're going to do to them, then you would do it to me, even though you say you're my friend. So no, it's very scary. So I think that a lot of us that are mediums, that are whether we can, telekinesis or things like that, I think a lot of us do stand with them because they're just, it would happen to us too. it would happen to us too. And so there's a lot of us that are like, you know what, not worth it, not worth telling people, not worth saying it, not worth, which is a shame because then we're having to squelch our amazing God-given abilities. And so it's just, I'm not doing it.
Well, I mean, I don't want to step on George here in his comments, but if we were a political show, we would be having the same conversation about politics.
Mm-hmm.
This is not limited to the paranormal. This is the internet. This is 2024.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, it could be the local school board elections that we have. But when it comes to the point where people are threatened by, you know, listen, we've talked about this. We talked about this on the show. So I'm not breaking new ground there. It's just responding to, I think, what was, hey, question from chat. Yeah. We're honest here. That's how we feel.
And it was a wonderful statement, you know, and there is a lot of what she said. There is too much hate and anger and competition, and everybody is trying to be famous and have a TV show. And like I said, find that holy grail piece of evidence. There's so much talk about paranormal unity. And I think that concept is amazing. But in the 5 years I've been in this, I have not seen that. I haven't seen it. I've seen teams, I've investigated with teams who were like, paranormal unity, this is going to be great. And then somebody does something or says something, and then it's like, well, that guy, you know, he's faking it, or he's, you know, I haven't seen it. I feel like it's a nice idea, but I don't think anybody knows how to execute it. And I think that's unfortunate, really.
To go off another direction just very, very quickly, Carrie, you talked about remote viewing, and I wanted to give you some insight that last Monday on Patreon's Town Hall, we did our first group remote viewing.
Really?
Yes, to the Pain House, and we gave them no information about the Pain House. Ken sat silently and took copious notes as to the accuracy. He gave it which I'm completely happy with, a 5 out of 10. With, I think we had 6 people that were remote viewing. They got names from that area. They got descriptions from that area, which was pretty impressive. For a first time doing all this with people who'd never done this before.
That sounds so cool.
Again, showing the abilities that all of us do have, without question.
Liz Hassan came up with, to me, when she hit on a little girl named Clara. This is Liz Hassan from Oregon.
Yeah.
Who's never been on an investigation before, and that child in spirit does exist there. Seriously? Really? Way to go, Liz.
Liz, we need to have you on the show.
We all have that gift. And sticking with, you know, what we do on Patreon, you know, Ken and I, we do reaction videos to paranormal recordings caught on tape, and we give our responses to it. And it's not, you know, oh, these girls here, you know what, they're sluts, you know, or this guy over here, what a jerk. It's like, I doesn't look like it's real. I don't think it's real.
She's wearing.
Yeah, look what she's wearing. Nothing like that.
Oh, could you imagine?
Who gives a bleep?
But that's the difference. Now, I will say that, in a sense, with just this field, we have kind of created a monster, so to speak, though, because, you know, there's the term debunkers, and that is a wide, broad spectrum of people. Paranormal investigators falls under that same problem, that same dilemma. There are investigators out there who shouldn't be investigators, shouldn't be called investigators, whether it's because they are influencers, because they are looking for their likes and their views, that they are not being forthright with their experiences and their evidence.
Yeah.
So deservedly, they need to be looked at. They need to be scrutinized. But the sad part, as Ken said, there is an important part of the community as far as skeptics and debunkers that we need. We need to keep us on the right track, that need to keep us from swaying into that territory.
Yeah. Anita Laura.
And God bless them. But don't mistake that with those who are looking for that. Another perfect example, I talked to Ken about this briefly. The Disney Channel just came out with a new Star Wars series called The Acolyte.
Yeah.
And I watched the first 2 episodes. It's entertainment. It is what it is. It's not, Luke and Hans and Obi-Wan. Those days are done,
Yeah.
And so they're creating something different. And they are going down the path of, they call it wokeness. They're bringing in a lot more orientation, sexual orientation, a lot more ethnicity into it, whatever it may be.
Sure.
And after this 3rd episode, they got decimated on social media. I mean, people just went after them. Of course, Ken and I are experienced to this. We've seen it before. The thumbnails are just brutal, absolutely brutal. And again, because one would pop up and be successful because other people thought the same way, then another one would pop up, and then it just became a feeding frenzy. Piranha going after this show.
Yeah.
And again, it's for clicks and likes and views. It's what it tends to go down that road. So
fictional characters, George.
Oh no, well, no, but they're not going after the characters, Ken. They're going after the producers and the writers. So it is a serious thing because people are being attacked. Living people are being attacked about it, and they're going on a defensive about it too. So you can equate the fictional characters to the evidence collected paranormal wise, and those people who think that that's fiction. So it's in that same category, but it's the people that they're attacking, the creators behind it that they're going after in a very, very harsh way. It's a scary part of what we deal with in today's society. Unfortunately, we see it too often now, and it's almost as if we've become numb to it to a degree, or we have to do a lot of cases, and Ken and I have had multiple discussions about it. Just ignore it. Don't even address it, because that's the fire they're looking for, or realistically, more so, I guess, Ken, going on the defensive, staying away from that.
Yeah.
I quote the great '80s band, The Tubes. What do you want from life?
Yeah. Well,
ask yourself, what do you want?
Yeah.
We're here for a good time, not a long time. Bubble.
Yeah.
All right. So
Okay.
if you want to get back
question
to
again.
The
what were we talking about?
State of the paranormal address and where we are in each of the categories. This one I'm interested in hearing about too. Where we were at the beginning when some of these incredible people were involved, Father Gabriel, to where we are today in demonology. Boy, you want to talk about a sensitive subject. Ken, you want to start us?
I think you know my feelings. I think you know my feelings on it, that I'm not entirely sure that demons exist. I'm not and I know you get do you believe in God? Do you believe, if you believe in God, you have to believe in demons? My questions come from the idea that a lot of the idea of demons are in literature, and they're in mythologies. And we borrowed a lot from the Egyptians, the Norse people, in terms of how those go down. No one was talking about levels of demons until Dante's Inferno was written.
I was just thinking.
Now suddenly there's levels of demons and the 7 circles of hell. And people talk about those things as if they are dogma, scripture. They're not. The stories are so good that people tend to adopt them and other cultures tend to appropriate them. So I'm still on the fence about that. I think there are two types of people, right? There are religious people. There are also agnostics and atheists. We recognize and respect that. But religion and being spiritual. I think if you're a religious person, you're a follower. Correct? I mean, you're following scripture, dogma.
The teachings of your religion. Yeah.
A spiritual person tends to seek and follow their own path. Okay, and you can certainly embrace some of what's taught in parables, you know, being decent, being generous, feeding the hungry, clothe the poor, you know.
Right.
And you can live that life without stand up, sit down, kneel, stand up, kneel, you know, and everything else that comes with it. I think what has happened to demonology now, we talked about some of the forerunners tonight. I'm not really sure. I know the definition of demonology. It's the study of demons. Oop, that's it. That's it. You don't have any more, you know, people say that they're studying to be a demonologist. I'm not sure where online. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I don't know how you study to be a demonologist unless you're working with a theologist or a theologian. But I think that people up the ante a little bit because ghosts weren't enough. We have to go to another level. So I'm one of those people who say, you're a demonologist. Okay, give me your steps in doing this. Because I don't have any certification to be a paranormal investigator. I don't have a degree. I don't have a diploma or anything like that. Study, research, look at both ends. But I think a lot of people jumped on that because it was a cool thing to be. And there are people who are very religious and want to help people. I'm not talking about you folks. I'm not talking about somebody with, you know, a good heart. Your heart's in the right place. Okay. But there's an awful lot. This is our team demonologist. So it's like, I would love someone to tell me, you know, how does one become that? Or is it just like being a ghost hunter? You just call yourself one. I mean, I'm being honest here. I became a paranormal investigator because I felt like it, and I called myself one.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't need the title, really, you know, unless you're making business cards or something. But
right.
I remain. You're talking about skeptical, and we said we're skeptical on this show too, folks. So I have my questions, my doubts, you know, my curiosity about people who claim to go on this path and how you get there. Because, and I'll tell you why, when we're dealing with the human element and human emotions, that's a serious thing. When you're a demonologist, you're dealing with human emotions plus religious beliefs, plus really ingrained belief systems that go beyond the normal emotions.
Yeah.
You're talking about something that's much more ingrained in people than how they feel at a particular moment. So if you're doing it, I hope you're doing it well.
Yeah, and that really does tap into a very specific and different, because they are following what their religion has taught them, a very specific type of demons and Satan, and that is terrifying. And I mean, just the very idea.
That's
What
that's automatic harm, Carrie.
exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So that's with those human emotions, that's there's fear, and then there's that's very specific kind of fear. So I think you're right. I think a lot of the word demon, we talked about it last time I was on the show. I think we talked about it in the town hall. That word demon gets thrown around all the time. All the time. And now Father Amort, I believe, and Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it like something like 900 exorcisms?
Some ridiculous number.
A really, really high number.
And these were cases that were vetted.
Yes.
By the Catholic Church. It wasn't like, hi, Father Amorth, come to my house.
Right. Yes. Something like 900 exorcisms. Now, to be fair, an exorcism is not, if you don't know the general idea of an exorcism is not like you go in and you just do it the one time and it's done. An exorcism, the way Father Amort was doing them as the Vatican's exorcist, is in several stages. Sometimes it takes years to fully exorcise somebody. But 60,000. 60,000. So somebody had put in the chat that William Friedkin had done a documentary on Father Amort. And he had been able to go and actually get permission from the Vatican to film Father Amort doing an exorcism. And the woman that he was doing the exorcism on, this was like her 75th exorcism. He'd been working with her for years. Right. So, yeah. William Friedkin also just recently died too. I love horror movies. I'm here for it. But I think that like we've talked about before, that word demon just gets tossed around. And like you said, all these people are going out and going to study demonology to become a demonologist. Well, they're just not that common. We aren't actually living in a supernatural world where Sam and Dean Winchester are going around and killing, sending all these demons back to hell. That's just not how it is. Now, that being said, malevolent spirits, those do exist. Those are real. People who are truly evil in life probably are a truly evil spirit in death. So they can cause mayhem. They can develop a fixation with a human being, I believe, and kind of cause them problems. Maybe the person gets an attachment. Maybe I do believe in them. I think that is much more likely than a demon. But an evil human spirit in a place, that I think is probably much more prevalent than a demon. And they might just be misidentifying them because they just don't know, or they just really love the word.
If you have a valid case as a demonologist, right? What do you do? What do you do from there?
Yeah.
What do?
What do you do? Because if you have a valid case as a demonologist, well, you're the demonologist. They've called you. You better know what to do.
Yep. Call Father Amorth.
Right? Oh, wait, he's dead too. So yeah. And I didn't hear that there was anybody that replaced him at the Vatican. So who knows? I don't know.
Yeah. It's 50 years ago, the aspect of exorcists and exorcism, that was an extremely exclusive club.
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably count on one hand the amount of people that were really involved with that. And it grew over time. Number one, again, the film industry found a target market and went nuts with it. Anything and everything that they could possibly put out there. Stemming from the 60s, but continuing on well into the 70s and then the 80s. And that sparked in, again, people such as Ed and Lorraine Warren, that really kind of raised that to a whole nother level. Residential cases that were out there that they dealt with. It basically brought in a new era. Fast forward to now the reality programs from Paranormal State to Ghost Adventures, uh, where they were throwing that word out each and every week in every single case. And in some circumstances with Paranormal State, Lorraine Warren would show up because it was something so sinister, so diabolical. And it could be just as simple, just like Carrie said, of just a sinister individual in the afterlife, creating this havoc, this chaos. Um, there is the other part that Ken has explained time and again about people who have mental disorders and are not diagnosed or correctly diagnosed. That people will come into their home and make that assumption to it. A very dangerous game, as far as I'm concerned. You know,
Sure is.
we have talked about my experiences that I can't explain. Can I label it? For my own comfort, I will label it that this must be what it is. And if I say certain prayers, I'll be safe from what I'm dealing with. But that unto itself is like the same thing I talk about with religious artifacts that you wear around your neck and they're blessed. Is it the blessing of the artifact or your belief in that artifact that keeps you protected? So, you know, the same situation comes around if you are feeling that you are being oppressed, you believe you're being oppressed, you are told that you are being oppressed or possessed, then, you know, we've got a whole nother situation there. And this bombardment over the last 10, 15 years that's been going on, where people are looking at the excitement of that possible scenario. I remember when I was still doing the dead air on the Blog Talk Radio, having a group, a team from New York, where the leader of the team said live on the air, I want to get absolutely wasted, drunk, and get possessed. That was his ultimate goal here in the paranormal field. Without the knowledge of what you are really expecting, if these things do exist,
Have at it, Hoss.
You're in for a world of hurt. And maybe he has, even if it wasn't something that was really under the religious uh ideology of a demon, but you're going to create a bad situation for yourself along the way, the energy that surrounds you at that point. Going back to the parent family and talking about Andrea always said this: thoughts are things. So when you are either a client or you are an investigator, and that mindset is there's a possession here, you're going to create a very negative surrounding. That negative energy that can be manifested by the person, manifested by the individual that is making this diagnosis. It's gone absolutely crazy as far as this field is concerned, that we don't have any checks and balances when it comes to this anymore. It's just a free for all, and there's no guidance to it. As I said earlier, when we talk about the debunkers, there are those that are necessary and those that are just completely unnecessary. Same thing in this field. There are those out there, such, again, always high regards for Rise of Paranormal. And there are many other teams out there also who are doing it the right way, but there are those otherwise who are just putting us back to medieval times in the way that they're conducting things.
When you talk about artifacts, talisman, whatever the case may be, it's often said that a curse is only as powerful as the person who believes in it.
Thank you.
So the inverse should also be true.
Yeah.
Whether it's positivity, it's only as powerful as the person who wants to believe.
Sure.
Whether it's good or bad, or regardless of whatever it represents to you, which is why we constantly tell people to affirm themselves and empower themselves and state your intention out loud. Now, does it work? Does it chase the ghost away? Maybe, maybe not. I've heard both ways. Like it's quieter now, or we haven't had a problem. But I think it's more important, if a person believes it, then suddenly things change. I'm not saying they're making it up or faking it, but I just think that intent, that power that you have over yourself can be, I hate to use the word cleansing, but for lack of a better one, it just, it helps. It helps if you just feel oppressed. And what I oppressed, I'm not talking about anything demonic. I'm just talking about I'm afraid to go in this room. I'm afraid to go in that room. I'm afraid to go in that room. You're busting your ass working to pay the mortgage, and there's 5 rooms you don't go to in your own house.
Right.
Like, man, you gotta like that'll be the day. I mean, you gotta work on some stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of times, if they believe and take back that power, it can be a very profound thing, and I've seen it happen. So belief is a powerful emotion.
With as old as the earth is, with as old as humanity is,
Right.
this I definitely believe that there's an afterlife. Obviously, said it a number of times, but and I do genuinely believe that there are malevolent spirits that just, like you said, just want to be dicks, for lack of a better word. Like, and there are people that want to, what I'm looking for, they want to call on them, and they want to, so they do these, whatever rituals or whatever it is they're doing, and then now they've got this, these malevolent entities that are like, hey, I'm here. What do you want to do?
You can fight me if I'm wrong, and anybody can take me in on this, but I firmly believe anybody calling out demons or claims or goes in with an aggressive posture, the majority of the time they probably don't believe in demons.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to say all this stuff. What's the worst that could happen, right?
Right. And then what if then they find out? And then I've seen enough to know that people do mess with this kind of stuff. And they get in over their heads and they don't know how to get out of it, or they use it and take advantage of people that they feel deserve to have an attachment or whatever. I've seen it happen to people that I know that I'm like, I don't know how to help you. If it were to happen to me, wouldn't know how to help me.
Right.
So
let's start from there.
Yeah. And so as old as humanity is, as old as these spirits can be, who knows what you're dealing with when you're, trying to channel somebody or, whatever. I don't know. It's very, very dangerous. And there's people that just have a very lackadaisical approach and belief about it and do the most harm.
Question for you, Carrie. Question.
That's a badass.
Question for you, Carrie, and question even for those of you in the chat. If you sensed and or were told, perhaps by a colleague of yours, that you do have some sort of an oppression, how terrifying would it be to have to go through an exorcism in your mind without knowing all the background behind it, but having to go through an exorcism of an oppression?
Mm-hmm.
What is your thought process to what would transpire?
Can I say something on that, George, real quick?
Yes.
A lot of times when people suspect or self-diagnose themselves or feel that there's something more there than, a dead sea captain hanging around in their house, because of the hoops that you have to jump through with the Catholic Church, a lot of times people have nowhere else to go. So they will turn to the local demonologist or somebody who's suggested to them.
Mm.
So the Catholic Church, where, Father, more 60,000 cases, every one of those, I assume, was vetted, psychological evaluation, physical evaluation, all the hoops you got to go through. And then the church deemed it as something legitimate. Try to go to your local priest or pastor someday and just say, oh, I think this is going on. They will run so fast from that because they're not dumb. They don't want to get themselves into any kind of actionable thing where they can do. Catholic Church got enough problems with legal and
right.
We won't go there, but they got enough problems.
Yeah, all the hoops to jump through, though. I'm saying if it got to the point that the proper people made the assessment that there is an oppression here, and now we're at that point that approval was given to perform that exorcism, how terrifying that concept in a mind of somebody that's dealing with this would be, if they were even aware of it. How terrifying would it be?
I think it would be I think it would be more terrifying than finding out that you have to have this life-saving operation on your body, because your soul, your spirit is something that I feel is it's a priceless thing about you. Your soul is it's priceless, and it is revered. Everybody should revere their soul. It's everything that makes you who you are. And the idea that something is trying to take that from you, from God, if that's what you believe, I feel like that's a vastly elevated bit of terrifying. And I think that in the traditional sense of what we've all heard of a possession or an oppression to be like, you've got these forces inside you that are battling to take your soul away from this man, this priest who's trying to keep it with you. That's got to be something that I truly don't think, hopefully, none of us here or people that we know would ever have to go through. But I think that the loss of that, the potential that you could lose your soul to this whatever thing is attached to you and trying to drag it to hell or wherever, is a bigger fear for people. I don't think, as opposed to like you have to have this life-saving operation and when you lose whatever.
To your point, Carrie, to put a finer point on it, there's no MRI, CAT scan, or X-ray,
right?
Where they can say, okay, this is this,
this is exactly what we need to do, and it's going to be 8-hour surgery as opposed to you're going to see Father Amort every Monday and Wednesday for the next 10 years, and he's going to do an exorcism on you. The same thing all the time. We're going to hold you down. There's going to be some screaming. You'll probably drool, but we're really gonna every week for 10 years. This one woman in this documentary from William Friedkin, it was like 75 exorcisms she had with him.
Yeah, isn't that funny though too? And we're down to 1 minute, believe it or not, already. But isn't it funny too that when we just talked about progress, the state of the paranormal, that has never advanced, or it seems like, again, not having enough knowledge of what the Vatican decides on, but in the procedures of an exorcism, that there's been no advancement in that to help expedite this type of process, even if there is anything like that, because these demons are ancient, so is the procedure. But whether or not there's something to move that forward, surprisingly, that we've not seen any type of advancement from that side. Honorable mentions, very quick, that we were going to get into. This is a loaded topic, and we could have gone on with investigations, EVPs, psychic phenomena. I would love to talk to Carrie more about that, and maybe we will in the future. Research, the occult, and again, ufology. You know, again, as Ken was talking about, a lot of what he mentioned at the beginning of this topic certainly could fall under any of these categories there, particularly about social media. But
I think we should come back in a few weeks and hit the rest of these things.
Yeah,
I
I'll leave
think
these
that
up.
would be so fun.
Yeah, 'cause
Hey
we had
guys, chat real quick. We don't have much time. Do you enjoy this kind of ad hoc thing tonight? Just give us a yes. We're very needy. We're very needy. We need you. We need your love.
Give us our input. Finally, also, those of you guys that are going to be with us at Town Hall tomorrow night, 8 p.m. If you jump in early enough, you might get a chance to say hello to one of our guests for next Monday. Jeannie Dollar is going to be joining us. And for those of you watching the first time, again, next Sunday night, 8 p.m., we will be talking to some of the people involved with the Hulu miniseries Demons and Saviors. Make sure you get a chance to check that out and have your questions ready next Sunday for our guests. So, including, unfortunately, from prison, Christina Boyer, who will be calling into the show. So we appreciate that that you guys were here with us tonight. Don't forget to hit that like button on the top. Also, hit that subscription. And on behalf of Ken and Carrie, stay with us, will you? You've been watching Dead or Alive on the Dead or Full Spectrum channel. We'll see our Patreon members tomorrow night in Town Hall. The rest of you guys, we'll see you next week. Take care. Good night.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh.